Something that I didn't realize when I was going to get my real estate license was that the passing rate for the exam was not that high. I was super nervous to take the exam. I think what I saw, don't quote me on these numbers specifically, but it varies by state, but the passing rate is anywhere from like 60 to 75%, which is not that high. I've heard of people taking it 2, 3, more than 3 times to pass the exam. So I was nervous when I went to take the exam, and as I was taking it, I was like, you know what? This isn't as hard as I was expecting it to be, which I was like, could be a good or a bad thing. It could be a good thing because I'm like, okay, I studied, I know my stuff, or I think I know everything and I know I'm about to fail. Luckily, you get the results on the spot, and I passed both the national and the state portion on the first try with pretty good passing scores, in my opinion. I personally didn't find the exam to be difficult. Am I a genius that knows everything? Absolutely not. Were there certain parts of it that I just like didn't fully wrap my head around? Absolutely. So what was it that made me pass on the first time when the passing rate is pretty low? Well, that's what we're gonna be talking about in this video today. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Keisha if you're new here, and thank you for clicking on today's video. So in today's video, we're gonna be talking about how to pass the real estate exam and how to pass it on the first try. I did a whole video about how to get your real estate license, so if you guys are interested in that, I will have that linked up here. And I did touch on the exam a little bit in there, but I wanted to take a little deeper dive into the exam portion because that seems to be where people kind of get tripped up. And I've seen comments of people being like, whatever, like just take it one time, see what the questions are like, and then go back a second time. But I'm like, 1, it's a waste of money, and 2, it's a waste of time. Like, why would you wanna like waste time and push off getting your license just to be like, well, I'll just pass it another time. Like, it almost seems like they're just like giving themselves an excuse to go in and fail, and almost like, I feel like if you have that mindset, you're just kind of setting yourself up for failure, if that makes sense. So I definitely want to give some tips on how to pass it on the first try. So I wanted to share kind of what I did to study and prep for the exam. Okay, so why do people fail exams? Could be a little bit of procrastination when it comes to studying, could be just poor study materials. Maybe you set yourself up for a study plan that you just never stick to, and then the exam comes up and you realize that you've really only studied 2 out of the, I don't know, 20 sessions that you set aside for yourself to study. And maybe you're just so eager to, you know, schedule the exam and get your license, but you scheduled the exam too early and you don't give yourself enough time to actually prep for the exam. So I think it also varies by state what the passing score is. I want to say Tennessee, it was almost 2 years. I'm also in the process, it's been right about 2 years at the end of this month. I'm like, I just took courses to renew my license, so it's been about 2 years. I think it was 70 or 75% that I needed to pass. So I think the biggest thing to help you prepare is to pick the right real estate course for you. I know you can either do in person or you do fully online. I did my program fully online. I literally finished it in like less than 2 weeks. I did it really quick. I personally used Kaplan. I will say, is it the most exciting, fun coursework to get through? Absolutely not. It really wasn't that interesting. The videos were a little outdated, very kind of boring, but I feel like it did the job for me. I kind of just like went through the courses. I started off taking the courses and like taking heavy notes per each chapter and everything, and then I realized it was just really slowing me down getting through it, and it was just making the process way more daunting than it needed to be. So I decided after like the 3rd chapter or so, I decided to stop taking notes, just watch the videos, read the material, and then I was like, we will just like go in with the study book and everything at the end. And it did work out. I felt like it just made the process a little less daunting to get through than having to like take notes and read. Because some of the material, I'm not gonna lie, is super dry, it's super boring, and you just gotta get through it. But I used Kaplan. Like I said, not the most exciting material, but it did the trick. I felt pretty prepared. I felt like it gave me a good enough understanding of a lot of the topics that you needed to know for the exam. I think it was pretty inexpensive. I want to say maybe like $400 or $500-ish, and that included the little like study workbook. Going off of that, the next thing is to really pick good study materials. So what's going to be the most like efficient way for you to learn? I utilized a few different methods of studying, and I think that really helped me personally. So as I was saying with Kaplan, I think it was like a little bit extra to get the little workbooks, but I think it was totally worth it. Like I think these workbooks saved my life because like I said, going through the coursework, it's a little dry, it's a little boring, but having these literally, like I was taking notes, but these are literally just like chapter summaries of each of the lessons that we went through. So I got to save time by not taking notes, and this is literally just like summarizing all of it. This one, Zora chewed up a little bit when she was a puppy. So like you get the one for your state specifically. So like this is the Tennessee real estate book. So you can see I kind of went through and like highlighted different areas in here that I thought I would need to know. I made like little notes on the side on some things, but I did go through once I finished the coursework. I studied anything, made little notes as needed, but I like really utilized this workbook. And then this is one for national. Obviously it's a lot thicker because it covers a lot more, but again, kind of same thing. I just went through. First I went through and kind of highlighted everything, and then as I studied, I did notes on the side as well. So like anything, like if I watched like a video or if I remember something from the lesson that like made something easier to remember, I would like write a note about it. And then I would write notes on things like actually put extra marks on things that like it was taking me a little bit longer to, you know, understand the concept. And then like if I did like practice tests or watch like videos of practice tests and I noticed there was like a kind of reoccurring question about a specific topic, I would put an extra mark next to that and be like, make sure you understand this. There's also like some practice questions in here. So I definitely really utilize these books. I think these were so helpful. Like I said, I read these every day. Like every time I did studying, I went back through these and just went over everything that I highlighted. And this was like definitely the best study material for me. So like I said, I'm obviously not sponsored or anything, but I'll have Kaplan link down below if you guys want to check it out. The next resource that I used was Prep Agent. So they have a podcast. I don't think they post that much on their podcast, but they have a YouTube channel, and that was so beyond helpful. I know they have courses that you can like pay and get like a programmer of some sort. I personally never paid for anything. I just utilized the free resources like the podcast and the YouTube videos especially. Love Prep Agent. They have really good vocab videos, which we'll get to vocab in a minute, but they had really good videos to like really focus in on like understanding like all the vocab and all the terms that you need to know. They had a lot of videos of like literally just going through practice exams and practice questions, and they would do them live, which I know you can do if you're like you like pay for the courses, but some of them they would just like upload to YouTube, so you can like go through, watch them answer the questions of the courses, explain. And he did like a really good job at like giving you little things to like giving you little helpful tidbits on how to memorize things. Like, oh, if you think of this like this random thing in the world, like remember it like this. Like I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but he did a really good job at like giving you ways to like help you remember things in like a more fun way. So I felt like that was like more of like a fun way to study and learn. And like I said, you can pay for it. It's probably worth it, especially if you maybe have taken the exam a couple times and still aren't passing. But I think if you just utilize free versions of everything, then you don't have to put any extra money into it. And that's what I personally did. And I found it super helpful and super effective. There's also a lot of free Quizlet materials that you can use, especially again, to help with vocab in different like quizzes and in flashcards and stuff that people have already made to study. Always, like I would say, there's always, every now and again, I would find like one here and there that wasn't accurate and that wasn't correct. I feel like overall they're pretty accurate, pretty much I feel like you can trust, but I always like to give like a disclaimer for things like that, just kind of keep an eye out. I remember sometimes people might have a wrong answer here and there, but I feel like overall it's again just like a free resource to use. And I think flashcards are super helpful, especially if you're too lazy to do your own. I think I had started to make my own flashcards and then I gave up and decided that I didn't want to make those. So I really liked using the like free flashcards on Quizlet. Yeah, those are the 3 things that I used to study for the exam. I believe it took me about a week and a half to complete all the coursework online, and I think I gave myself about 2 weeks to study. So every single day I put at least an hour aside to study, if not 2 hours. I think more so in the beginning it was 2 hours, and then like in the middle of my study period it was less, and then like right at the end it was a lot more. So really give yourself enough time to study and give yourself enough time every day to study. And then like, you know, as you progress, like start off studying everything, and then as you really start like understanding concepts here, by the end just like really focus on things that you don't understand, whether that's like math or certain like contract type things or whatever it is. Like give yourself enough time so you can like do a general study and then also really focus on the things that you're just like not fully grasping. But when it comes to studying, what is important to really focus on? I feel like I heard this so much when I was studying, and I could not agree more. The biggest tip that I have is to really focus on the vocab. Understanding the vocab really helped me get through the exam, because there were so many questions that would kind of relate to a vocab term. And it's, if you know the vocab, it really did help with the process of elimination for other answers. So I feel like some of the answers, they were all so different that it's like, if you just kind of understood generally what they were talking about in the question, like what the main term was, and understood that, you could kind of figure out the answer by process of elimination. So I really, 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 really emphasize on vocab. Like I said, Prep Agent, they have a couple of videos of like vocab terms, and I watch that every day because I kept hearing to just know the vocab. So I was like, all right, we're gonna know every single vocab word, what everything means. So part of my studying, I kind of switched it up a little bit every day. What I feel like I really need to focus on, what I feel like I already had like a good grasp on. But the one thing I did every day was go through the vocab. And yes, it's kind of boring, and yes, it's kind of tedious and repetitive, but it really made the biggest difference. So definitely focus on the vocab. Also, I know a lot of people get kind of nervous with math. I know there's only a couple on the exam. I know that also I think varies by state. Like I think on the Tennessee, there are maybe 3 or 4 math questions. But again, Prep Agent had some really good videos on math, and that is what really helped me. Like Kaplan had some good examples in their booklets that helped me understand the math, but Prep Agent, I'll link any specific Prep Agent videos down below that I think are gonna be really helpful. Just kind of narrowing, because I know there are a bunch, like there are a bunch of going through like exams and stuff, but like ones I think would be like really beneficial to learn and to like watch. I will have those specifically linked down below. He had a really good video that helped, like he really broke down doing the math, and I felt like that helped me when it came to the math questions. I got to all my math questions and I was like, oh, I know how to do this. Like, oh, I know what equation to use here. Like it actually was so much more simple than I thought it was gonna be. And I know I was kind of stressed out about it, but it really, like once you learn it, you're kind of like, oh, this is way easier than it seems. So definitely don't stress about the math, but I think it's definitely worth it to know it because every question matters. But aside from that, like I said, just really, you know, I would recommend just starting off kind of broad and then kind of narrowing in on things that you need extra help with. And then like kind of by the end, I was kind of going more broad again, just to make sure that like things that I was studying like the week before, making sure that I still understood it. And then like the night before and the morning of, I was like, just, you know, last minute, just reading through the book all the way up until the time the exam started, just like making sure I had like everything fresh in my mind. And yeah, like I said, I really didn't feel like it was that complicated. I think it's definitely reasonable to pass it on the first try. I think the biggest things, like I said, are just like making sure you set enough time for yourself to study, make sure you're studying the right things, and make sure that you are utilizing some different resources. So that's pretty much it. You know, this was kind of like a quick video, but I really feel like that's kind of all I had to say. If you just kind of follow those things and give yourself enough time, especially know yourself, if you're not the best test taker, or if it takes you a little longer to retain more information, maybe schedule your exam a little bit further out, give yourself more time to study. Or if you're like, I retain things quick, I have a lot of time to study, I want to take in like a week or 2 to do that. But overall, I got my license in less than a month. Between the time that I started my courses and took the exam, it was less than a month, and then I had my license. So yeah. But that's all I have for this video today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you have any other questions down below, if you have any recommendations or resources. Also feel free to leave those down below as well. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all the things, and I will see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys. Oh, I can't let him take my soul. Nah, 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 no. I can't let him take my soul.